Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of my Whipsnade Zoo recreation in Planet Zoo. I think if you've been watching the series so far, you'll know that there's a certain area that I keep talking about and not completing, and I think this time I am gonna bite the bullet and go for it and do it. So the bit that I'm talking about is this enclosure here, which is for currently wattled cranes. It's a nice enclosure. It's got a nice bit of cover with some trees and things on this side. It's got a pool in it. It's got a bit more open side on that side, and the main reason I've been putting it off is because it's the central part here where the house is sort of linked to this whole area in terms of the terrain and everything, and it's going to be quite a big task to get all that terrain sorted. So that is the reason I've been putting it off. And also, as I said in the last one, I've done quite a few enclosures that are implied because we don't actually have the animals in game, which is nice to do, but obviously it can become a little bit boring not seeing any animals in. So since we did the ostrich last time, I thought I'll go for this one, try and actually get it done. So hopefully I will be able to get this enclosure here done. House-wise, I'm not too sure if I'll be able to get that done. In terms of all this stuff, what I might do is do the crane enclosure here, leave kind of this area down the side where it all joins towards the house, focus on the main bit of the enclosure and the standoff and stuff around here, and then also then try and fill in some of the gaps on this side. I might even try and attempt the other bit that I've been putting it off, the boardwalk sort of walkway thingy for the giraffes, and that sort of bit outside that house. There's this whole area here, because this is where I started doing I started at the bongo, did some other bits, but this is where I started fully doing all the enclosures, doing everything properly once everything was in place and stuff. So this is where I started, and I obviously wasn't doing the videos at the time, so I just kind of did what I could do, then moved on to something else and another thing, and maybe it would come back to little bits and then go away again. So that's why kind of a lot of this portion of the zoo in the middle here is not quite complete, compared to some of the other areas that I've done since I've been doing the videos. Like that whole kind of bit there is completely finished, and you can tell it looks nice and finished, whereas this bit there's a lot of bare areas and things. There should be all trees and things down here towards the white rhinos and the bongo. There should be trees and stuff in this little triangle-y sort of area here. This whole big patch of grass here is covered in loads of sort of fairly newly planted trees, a lot of smaller trees, and then if we go further in, this chunk outside the giraffes is not done. There should be a planted area here. All the pathing is not quite accurate. There's some steps that go up to the upstairs giraffe viewing area, so they've got the ramp that goes around here, but also there's some steps on that side. The actual viewing area part is not finished. A lot of the sides, the supports, the roof for the viewing area, so you can kind of see there's a lot of stuff around here that's not finished. It's the same with this bit here, where the this standoff area where the bluebells and things are. So yeah, there's a lot of bits around here that need touching up, finishing off, all that sort of thing. So yeah, hopefully I will try and do this enclosure as the main focus and get that done, up to certain points. As I said, there's also this patch here, but I don't know whether I'll join that with the whole bison episode when I do that, or if I join it to this. But yeah, we'll try and do this enclosure here, and then I will see what other bits I can fit in. Obviously, as you can probably tell, I record this at the beginning of the week, and then when I've finished everything at the end of the week, I'll record. So I never know exactly how much time I'm going to have or how much I'm going to be able to do, but I'll try and get that enclosure and at least one or two of these little elements done as well, to hopefully finish this area up a bit before moving on to other bigger areas around other bits of the zoo. So I'll put some pictures in of whatever I am doing once I've actually finished it, and then I will see you when it's all finished. Okay guys, so all finished. I did manage to get a couple of little bits done, but I've kind of been not playing as much as I have been, so I haven't done as much, but I've still got this enclosure done and a couple of other little bits. So we'll start with this enclosure. So let's go down here. So there's a little shelter down here. This I copied from the one that's over in the Nilgai paddock, so that was quite a nice easy one, just copying it straight over. Then back here we've got the pool. So this is the same, as I said, sort of technique as the other things that I've done that are sort of lined pools. I have done it so that it's kind of got this edging around it, because that seemed to work a little bit better for the edges in terms of there not being like a little sort of gap there. So that's not turned out too bad. I've coloured the bottom of it, but because I've got the pond cleaning stuff on it, makes it quite clean, even though I kind of would rather have it a bit dirtier, because it's not crystal clear in real life, obviously. But it's it's not too bad. It's quite a simple pool. It stands out quite a bit because obviously the actual paddock itself is mostly quite open, except for that little bit over there. So yeah, it's a shame, especially from a distance. You can't really tell that there's even grass in there, but obviously when you're down at that sort of level, it's not too bad. You can see the grass and stuff up to a certain point, because that is mainly what it is. It's just a big grassy field for the majority of it. For the planting that is in there, we've got quite a few big trees, and then I've put a few patches of nettles and things around, and a bit of the elephant grass, just to add a little bit extra something in there. But yeah, there's not really a huge amount. It's just mostly grass everywhere, except for all these few big trees. So these, because this enclosure used to have moose in it, they've all got proper tree guards around them to stop the moose from obviously rubbing the bark off and trying to eat the bark and stuff. So the way that I found best to do it was just using the bamboo coloured all the way around the trunks. That trunk is massive, but I wanted like the spread of the oak trees, even though all their actual trunks are always huge and they look a bit weird. But yeah, so each of the proper trees has got its own little tree guard around it, which I made specifically for each one. I've just placed them all the way around. I haven't tilted them in because they are sort of resting on the trunk itself, but I think it would have been too difficult to try and get every single piece leaning in. I might go back and change it if I really feel the need to, but I probably won't. So yeah, I think they do the job. They, as you will have seen from the pictures, they're just covered in actual sort of branches all the way around. But yeah, this seemed to be the best way to replicate that, I think. We've also got a few log patches and things just in the centre here, as another little feature, I made these for the bluebell woodland, so I've just copied them over and put a few patches of them around. They are made of the African branches and sticks, the kind of curly ones and the thicker ones. So yeah, that is pretty much it for the actual enclosure itself. There's not a lot to it, as I say. I've put this little bit of planting in here just as a kind of a placeholder. I think it might be good enough to stay, but I'll have to reassess when I do like this whole area sort of around the house and this patch down here. But yeah, it's all got this sort of hawthorny, blackthorn sort of stuff, so that's good that we've got that in the game, and it looks pretty good. But I thought it would kind of frame the actual enclosure a bit better for this episode, so I have included it in there. The fence itself is all, for the actual animal fence I've used the electric. What it would be is the deer fencing, which is just big squares, but we haven't got that, and the chain link is too tightly packed, so I think this gives the best kind of viewing for what it would actually be like. So I have replaced all the posts with wooden posts, just because that is what they are made of, and it just makes it a little bit more realistic. All the fencing along the front on the viewing area I'd already done, which was the wooden fence that I made, but all the stuff on the outsides for the standoff barrier is I've done chain link with the wooden posts as well. So yeah, that goes all the way around the edge. The actual standoff was quite tricky, trying to get the actual layout, because as I've said before, when there's areas with loads of trees and things, it's really difficult to get the positioning of things right. So I had to go off pictures, and obviously in the pictures and the Google Maps and stuff, Street View, it's quite hard to get the perspective right. So I think I've managed to get it okay. So we've got a couple of sort of large bushes in this bit with some planting around the base, nettles and things. There is a patch of bluebells, I think, in this bit, and then there's just a few trees around as well, and down this stretch here just a few bigger trees that kind of lean over the path and everything. So that is the standoff. We've also got these, just in these little corners there are little planted triangles. So we've got one down there and then one down in this corner here. I've just put a little plant in each one. So yeah, this is the view from this side. A little bit of nettles and things in this side, but yeah, in general it's again just a bit more grass and things really all the way around. Not too many sort of major features or theming or that sort of thing in this area at all. The other bits that I've done go over here. So I wanted to get this area finished because I'd already done the bit around the back, if I can get to it. So I'd already done up to this pathway here with the trees, so I thought I'll finish this block off here, and I tried to get all the path right around this area as well. I didn't do the giraffe bit because it would have taken ages and I didn't have the time. So, but I've made everything laid out right, so when it comes to it, actually putting in this walkway and everything should be alright in this little patch here, the stairs and stuff. So yeah, all of that is laid out. So we've got just again more trees, and then there is this little fenced off area which has got some plants that can be used for browse for the giraffes and things like that, just to protect them from free roaming animals a bit more. So that is that little patch in there. I just copied the fence over from the giraffe one, I think it was, and there's just a little track on these bits here where people walk, that it's not a proper laid path. So the other main area, as you can probably tell, is this patch that I've done here. So this is quite a nice little patch. It's funny, on the street view images, all these trees are just planted, and they're tiny little things, whereas now they've really shot up in however many years it's been since those pictures were taken. So I've used a variety of just different small sized trees to give that impression. The other sort of corners are the bigger trees, so we've got just a patch here of bigger trees in the corner, and then we've got a little path that runs through the centre there as a little extra, and down this corner here, I was quite happy about this because I've not actually had a chance at all to use the pine trees. Everything I've used has just been the kind of normal leafy trees, but this patch down here has actually got quite a few of these, so and I think they look really nice. I think they're done really nicely, so it was nice to be able to use a few of them in this corner. And I made this little one myself, just put one of these smaller ones on so that it hangs over the road, and then all the pathing there I'd already put in, so there's just a little slope that goes up there, and that follows around towards the enclosure. I've also done this little patch with a big holly tree and a couple of stumps and things, so this is where people walk through. I've left all the rest of this kind of area, as I said I was going to do, leave that for another episode, so that I can kind of tie all this lot in together before I commit to exactly where things are placed and everything. So yeah, that is what I've done. It doesn't seem like a lot, and it's not a lot as some of the other episodes, but I think, as I've said before, all the bits of planting and stuff just ties everything in really nicely. It makes a big difference, like from that going from just patch of grass completely empty to now having all these trees and bits in it. There's a couple of little makeshift benches that are just kind of logs, really, on that little bit there, and then if you go through here, there's one just down here on this side too. There's also, I've put in just a little path of short grass where people would walk through the centre. So yeah, this is a nice little corner. It's got, you know, nice sort of dappled sunlight and everything from the big trees, and then all these smaller trees in here. So it's a nice little patch. So that is it for this little area there. So again, yeah, the rest of this bit that needs sorting will be that bit in the giraffes, this patch here, and then everything. Oh, and there's also this patch down here, where the waterbuck shed is, that I haven't done, and that's got a few built, like a shelter and stuff like that in it as well. So I need to do that, but that's again something I need to try and make without being able to see it on maps. But otherwise, that will all be kind of done, and it will just be expanding outwards, instead of having bits all sort of in the middle that haven't actually been finished off. I did also this week had a flash of inspiration at like midnight one night and decided to make some props. So these are my Zookeeper tools for keeper area props. These are all stuff that we use at work, or based off of those sorts of things. So we've got a metal food bin here, which we would use to store animal feed. We've got a rake, a broom, a shovel, a fork, and a squeegee. And then on the wall there, a tool rack for hanging the tools up. None of the tools can actually be put on there, because as you can see, they're all made up of kind of weird bits, bits and pieces. So if you kind of moved them, yeah, that's a bit of a weird looking rake. So yeah, they kind of have to be leant up against the wall as they are there. I've included, so this whole block here is the actual blueprint, so you can kind of see exactly how they're supposed to be placed if you use them in your own builds. That one as well goes kind of slightly into the wall but not past the wall. So yeah, that is available on the Steam Workshop. If you just search for Bongo Hardwood on there, you can find my page where I've put some of the other bits from the zoo as well on there, and then this newest piece. And yeah, hopefully it will make your keeper areas look a bit more realistic. There's also something I'm working on over there in the background. You can see is a wheelbarrow, which I've struggled, but I think I might almost be there finishing it, because the one in game is a bit weird. It's really big and wooden, and that's not what we would use at all. Some places might, but as I say, this is all based on stuff that we actually use, so to me they are very realistic. I also had an idea as well, and I've had a couple of people mention it to me about the pools that I do, and how I make them, and like, you know, the way that I get all the angles and all proper lined pools basically, instead of using natural edges and things. So I'm going to try and do a tutorial type video, just a short, quite simple one on how I do that, because it can be a little bit fiddly, but once you kind of know exactly the way that you have to do things, it's fairly easy. That didn't take me that long to make this one. It does depend on the shape and the size and everything as well. These types of sides are much easier than that sort of side, but yeah, I'll try and get a tutorial made for doing them, so that you guys can try and do your own types of this this pool if you're not sure exactly how to do it. But yeah, so that is this week's build. Again, fairly simple, but nice to tie in all these areas together, and good that I've finally done this enclosure, because I have been going on about it pretty much since the beginning of the whole series, that this is one enclosure to be doing, and I've been putting it off for ages, and it wasn't that bad of a build, but because it's so simple, but it just, maybe because it was not as exciting, I've kind of put it off, whereas now it's nice to have it finished. And there are some nice elements, the tree guards and things, and getting all this area, all the bits with loads of trees just look nice, I think. So yeah, that is that done. Next time, possibly might do the bison. I'm not sure. I did have a play around with some of the terrain and stuff when I was doing that enclosure to check if everything was going to work out correctly, sort of coming from that side where I'd done terrain work over there, and this stuff here, and the stuff for the otters and things, and I think I should be able to make it work alright, but yeah, it's always a little bit of a worry that I'm going to sort of make two things come together and they're going to be completely off. So yeah, I might do the bison. That enclosure is quite basic. It's more like the house will be a bit more interesting, and the surrounding area and things, and then I could maybe do that patch there, and then that whole kind of chunk would be done then. I also do need to do that house and this paddock here, coming up that way, or potentially some stuff over here, but I think again it'd be kind of nice to get some animals that we have in the game, so I could put American bison in there even though we have European bison, and kind of alternate things we have versus things we don't, because I'm sure some people aren't that thrilled when I make an enclosure and there's nothing in it and there's no animals that I can put in it. I mean, I could try and put something in there just for the sake of having something. I did write a list of animals I was going to use in place of animals that we don't have, so I'll have to have a look at that and see if there's anything I could put in there. I did try and go with similar types of animals, but obviously with the bird enclosures we're pretty limited, especially considering we already have flamingos in an enclosure and ostrich in an enclosure, so potentially I could put some peafowl in there as a placeholder, so I might do that. And I will I'll have a think about the next one. Bison might be a possible. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you would like to keep up with the Whipsnade Zoo recreation videos. Comment if you have any thoughts or suggestions on what you'd like to see me do next. And the tools, as I said, the tool pack that I made is on Steam on the workshop if you would like to download it and use it in your own zoos. And I'll try and get a tutorial video out as well, so keep your eyes peeled for that one too if you are interested. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.